Have you ever just stared at your to-do list and felt completely exhausted just thinking about it?
Oh, absolutely.
And then somehow, like an hour later, you find yourself scrolling social media or maybe even, I don't know, alphabetizing your spice rack.
Anything but the actual task, right?
Exactly. Doing anything but the thing you know you need to do. And you just throw your hands up and think, what on earth is wrong with me?
It's such a common feeling.
Well, you are definitely not alone. And today, we're not just going to talk about what's wrong. We're really going on a deep dive. We're using Peter Hollins' book, How to Do Things You Hate, as our guide.
It's a great one for this.
Our mission really is to kind of unearth those hidden psychological forces,
Yeah.
the ones that make us procrastinate and avoid all those tasks we dread.
hmm
And then crucially, we want to equip you with some maybe surprising insights and definitely practical tools to finally break free from that cycle, to, reclaim your focus.
Yeah, move beyond just labeling it.
Right. And Peter Hollins, the author here, he's a respected researcher. You can find his work at petehollins.com. And what I like is that his approach, it really stands out.
How so?
Well, he doesn't just give you surface level productivity hacks. He digs deeper, integrating psychology with, well, almost philosophical wisdom sometimes.
Yeah, it's a more holistic view.
Exactly. It moves us way beyond just calling ourselves lazy or looking for a quick fix.
It's true. And what we often just dismiss as laziness, as you said, it's so much more intricate than just, not trying hard enough.
Mhm.
Hollins makes it really clear. It's not some fixed psychological trait you're stuck with. It's more like a cluster, a mix of behaviors, beliefs, attitudes, habits, and emotions, of course.
Okay.
So we're going to unpack those underlying causes the book identifies. And as we do, I really invite you listening to reflect on your own patterns.
Yeah.
Because understanding why you do it is honestly the essential first step towards change.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The book really challenges that immediate gut reaction of just calling ourselves lazy. So what does Hollins say is really going on when we avoid those dreaded tasks?
Well, first, he defines laziness pretty clearly.
Mm-hmm.
It's the conscious unwillingness to put in the necessary effort for something, even when you know not doing it will cause problems later.
Right, that conscious element is key.
It is. But then he says, okay, it's not just one thing. He breaks it down into several underlying causes, or maybe types. First up, there's confusion.
Confusion, meaning...
I just don't know what to do. Think about, say, building a new business website if you've never done anything like that before.
Yeah, totally overwhelming.
Right. If you feel aimless, maybe anxious, definitely incompetent. And the book's quick solution is pretty straightforward. Acknowledge you lack clarity, start gathering info, ask questions, maybe even, talk to a coach or someone who's done it before.
Okay, so getting clear is step one for that type. What's next?
Then there's fear. The feeling of, I can't do it. This isn't usually about the task itself, but about what we imagine will happen.
Like what?
Like fearing your website will look terrible, or maybe you'll be exposed as fraud, imposter syndrome stuff, or even sometimes a fear of success.
Interesting. So it's fantasy-based.
Often, yes,
Yeah.
not based on current reality. The book suggests you need to embrace that fear, kind of separate the action from the feeling, and just take tiny baby steps to build some confidence.
Okay, makes sense. What else?
Next is a fixed mindset. This is the I can't fail mentality. It's an unwillingness to go through that awkward learning process.
Like the beginner writer example you mentioned.
Exactly. Someone who gives up because their first draft isn't, a literary masterpiece straight away, they can't handle not being good immediately.
Right, so the fix.
You have to reframe failure as just learning. Detach your ego from the outcome and actually expect that you won't know how to do things perfectly right at the start. That's normal.
Okay, that's a big one. Then there's fatigue, right? I'm too exhausted.
Yes, and while genuine physical tiredness is absolutely real, Hollins points out that a huge chunk of feeling lethargic is actually psychological perception.
Interesting. So it's not always physical.
Not always. The advice here is to check your expectations. Are they realistic? Look at your lifestyle, sleep, breaks, nutrition. And also investigate if maybe that fatigue is just masking another type of avoidance, like fear or confusion.
Good point. Okay, what else is on the list?
Then we have apathy, the I couldn't care less feeling. The book frames this interestingly, often as a mask for maybe deeper feelings like aggression, anger, or resentment.
Or maybe just misalignment.
Exactly. It could signal that the task or goal just doesn't align with your actual values or principles. So the solution is to reevaluate those things, reconnect with your why. And if you genuinely don't care, maybe it's just not the right goal for you.
That's permission to let go almost.
In a way, yes.
Hmm.
Then there's self-belief, which is tied to the fixed mindset. It's the I'm just a lazy person, I've always been like this narrative.
Making it part of your identity.
Precisely. And that makes any attempt to change feel like a threat to who you are. Hollins advises strongly against over-identifying with these fleeting thoughts or emotions.
So how do you fight that?
Mindfulness helps. Realizing that having a lazy thought or a lazy day doesn't make you fundamentally a lazy person. You can always choose to act differently in the next moment.
Okay. 2 more, I think.
Right. Loss of heart. This is that feeling of everything's such a mess anyway, it doesn't even matter what I do. It's discouragement. Maybe a victim mentality, believing your actions are pointless.
Yeah, that feels heavy.
It is. And the solution offered is quite direct. Forcefully drop the poor me story and focus intensely on what you can actually change, however small. It echoes the serenity prayer concept: accept what you can't change. Have courage to change what you can.
Focus on your circle of influence.
Exactly. And finally, the last one is comfort orientation. I'll get to it, but first let me just do this other fun, easy thing.
Ah, the classic procrastination fuel.
Pretty much. The book calls this the pure form of laziness, just a simple preference for ease over effort. And the solution here is, well, simple, but not necessarily easy.
Which is?
It's about consciously activating your willpower, not brute force, but recognizing that the act of starting, even when it feels inconvenient or uncomfortable, is also the only way to kickstart momentum. You prove to yourself that comfort isn't actually required to take action.
Wow, okay, that's a really comprehensive breakdown. It really shows that laziness is almost never just laziness.
Right. It's usually a symptom, a coping mechanism maybe, pointing to something deeper, a need for clarity or security or purpose or just acceptance.
So understanding which of these masks, let's say, your procrastination is wearing, that's the crucial first step. It takes the blame away and gives you a starting point.
Absolutely empowering.
So if these are the different sort of facets of the problem, what's the overarching strategy the book proposes? Because it argues the solution isn't just basic discipline, right? It's something deeper. Self-mastery.
Exactly. If we zoom out to the bigger picture, the book positions self-mastery, drawing a bit from Eastern perspectives like, say, Shaolin monks, not just as gritting your teeth, but as a holistic life path. It involves decades of physical, mental, and emotional training. It's about a really sophisticated understanding of how we work internally and externally.
Okay, that sounds significant. And central to this whole idea is something the book calls experiential avoidance. That sounds pretty serious. What exactly is that, and why does Hollins see it as such a problem?
Experiential avoidance, or EA. He basically calls it the world's worst coping mechanism. It's like getting stuck on a roundabout.
Yeah.
You swerve to avoid some initial, often small, discomfort.
Like that awkward email.
Precisely. You avoid sending that awkward email, maybe put it off,
Mhm.
then it escalates. Suddenly you've got a much bigger, way more uncomfortable problem on your hands because you avoided the small thing.
Or putting off signing up for that career course.
Yes, because it feels intimidating. So you missed the deadline, then another one, and now it's just hanging over your head, causing more stress than just signing up would have.
So EA creates more suffering in the long run.
Paradoxically, yes.
Yeah.
And it shows up in tons of ways. Striving too hard, numbing out, feeling tense all the time, constant distraction, giving up easily, rushing through things carelessly, over-intellectualizing, and obviously procrastination itself. They're all ways we try to wiggle out of feeling uncomfortable.
Okay, so if that's the trap, what's the way out? How do we get off the roundabout?
The way out, according to the book, is acceptance. Not resignation, but acceptance.
Acceptance of the discomfort.
Yes. It uses the Buddhist idea of first darts and second darts. The first dart is unavoidable pain. Life happens, things hurt sometimes, like getting hit by an actual dart.
Okay.
The second dart, that's the optional suffering we pile on top. Through judgment, through resisting reality, through avoidance. It's like thinking, I shouldn't feel this way, or this is terrible, I can't stand it. We shoot ourselves with the second dart.
Ah, I see. So acceptance stops the second dart.
Exactly. What's really key here is that acceptance isn't about liking the pain or the difficulty. It's about acknowledging reality clearly, without judgment. And that acknowledgement actually frees you up to move on much faster.
Right.
Because you're not wasting energy fighting what is.
That makes sense. Is there a practical way to practice this acceptance in the moment?
Yes, the book offers the RAIN method.
Mm.
It's an acronym. Recognize, accept, investigate, and non-identification.
Okay, walk us through that, maybe with an example.
Sure. Let's use the junk food craving example from the book. First, you recognize, Okay, I'm having a strong craving for chips right now. Just notice it.
Right. No judgment yet.
No judgment. Then, accept. All right, this craving is here. I acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You're not trying to push it away. You're just allowing it to be present without blame or shame.
Okay. Then I for investigate.
Yes, investigate with curiosity. Ask yourself, is this actually helping me? What happens if I give in? What need is underneath this craving, maybe? You're exploring it gently.
And finally, and non-identification.
Non-identification. This is crucial. You realize this craving is something I'm experiencing, but it's not who I am. It's a temporary state, a thought, a feeling passing through. You notice it arise, maybe feel that spike of desire, and then you can just watch it pass without automatically acting on it.
That creates psychological distance, doesn't it? It gives you space to choose.
Precisely. It breaks that automatic link between feeling and action.
Okay, that RAIN method sounds powerful, but maybe, well, it requires a certain amount of presence, right? What about when you're really caught in that avoidance spiral? Are there any other sort of immediate micro actions the book suggests to just interrupt the pattern?
That's a really good question because breaking that immediate impulse is hard. It really comes down to building that muscle of tolerance for discomfort. And the book dives deep into that, advocating for something it calls voluntary discomfort.
Voluntary discomfort. Okay, so moving beyond just tolerating discomfort when it happens to actually seeking it out. That sounds
Yeah.
intense.
It can sound that way initially. But the book argues that truly effective people cultivate this ongoing long-term relationship with discomfort. It's a huge psychological shift for most of us, you're right.
So what does Hollins really mean by that? How does deliberately embracing discomfort actually make us stronger, not just miserable?
Well, he uses this concept of comfort creep. Remember the example of David and his fancy home entertainment system?
Yeah, he kept upgrading.
Right. More comfort, better features. But eventually he has a total meltdown because the remote batteries die. His tolerance for even the tiniest bit of inconvenience is just evaporated.
Because he got used to everything being easy.
Exactly. Modern life is, as the book says, packed to the brim with ways to constantly dial up comfort. And paradoxically, that can make us less resilient, less able to handle uncertainty, risk, or failure when it inevitably happens.
So voluntary discomfort is the antidote to comfort creep.
That's the idea. It's about deliberately stepping outside your comfort zone in small, manageable ways. This connects to practices like the Japanese Shinto concept of misagi, taking on extremely difficult but safe challenges where success isn't guaranteed, maybe like a 50-50 chance. It's meant to reset your mind, body, and spirit.
Like a mental reset button?
Kind of. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, had a similar idea, like a soldier training in peacetime to toughen up for the hardships of war. It's often a mental challenge disguised as a physical one, proving to yourself, hey, I can handle hard things.
Okay, so give us some practical examples. What kind of voluntary discomfort are we talking about here? Not climbing Everest, presumably.
No, definitely not necessarily.
Yeah.
The book gives really accessible examples. One is fasting, maybe intermittent fasting, or just skipping a meal occasionally.
How does that help with doing things you hate?
You learn that hunger isn't an emergency. It's just a sensation, and it passes. It teaches you to sit with discomfort. Plus, you might notice if that hunger is actually boredom or sadness or anxiety trying to get you to numb out with food.
Okay, interesting. What else?
Another is rucking, walking with a weighted backpack, or just any kind of strenuous physical activity you find challenging.
Right, pushing yourself physically.
Yeah, it directly connects effort with results you can see and feel. It builds mental toughness that carries over into, say, tackling a difficult project at work. You know you can push through fatigue.
That makes sense. Building physical resilience translates to mental grit. I'm picturing myself rucking right now, and honestly, it sounds pretty unpleasant.
Small chuckle. And that's exactly the point, isn't it? It's the intentionality. It's choosing the slightly harder path sometimes.
Right. It's not about suffering for suffering's sake.
Not at all. It's about demonstrating to your own brain, look, I can handle this. This discomfort won't break me. And that self-proof, that confidence, it just naturally extends to other challenging things you face.
Okay. What other examples?
A big one is embracing boredom. Our world pushes constant stimulation, right? Phones, notifications, always something to watch or listen to.
Yeah, silence is rare.
But the book argues that real productivity, and especially creativity, often needs that quiet, open space. Think about the shower thoughts phenomenon, those great ideas that pop up when your brain isn't actively consuming information.
So how do you practice embracing boredom? Just stop.
Pretty much. The practical tip is simple. Give yourself 20 minutes every day where you just Do nothing. No phone, no music, no book. Just sit or walk and let your mind wander. It can feel surprisingly uncomfortable at first.
I bet. Any others?
Yeah, things like temporary poverty, maybe living very frugally for a day or a week, choosing slightly uncomfortable situations like taking a cold shower instead of hot, or walking when you could drive, foregoing a pleasure you usually take for granted, or even doing things yourself the hard way, like washing clothes by hand instead of using the machine, just to experience the effort involved.
Okay, so it's really about consciously choosing inconvenience sometimes to prove to yourself you can handle it, build resilience, and basically expand your sense of what you're capable of.
You got it. It's not about martyrdom, it's about capability.
Which raises a really important question. How does this all connect to something else the book talks about, which is psychological flexibility?
Ah, yes. Psychological flexibility is really key. It's defined as the ability to continually take action in accordance with one's values, despite change, uncertainty, and distress.
So sticking to what matters even when things get tough or uncomfortable.
Exactly. It's the opposite of psychological inflexibility, which is that automatic, knee-jerk reaction to just avoid anything unpleasant, relying on avoidance as your main coping strategy.
Okay, and you give an example.
The book uses Jenny during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Her elderly mother is in a care home on lockdown, and inflexible Jenny gets overwhelmed by anxiety, focuses on the negative feelings, thinking, I can't bear this, it's too awful.
Right, gets stuck in the emotion.
But a psychologically flexible Jenny, while still feeling sad or worried, acknowledges those feelings and then pivots to her values. She asks, okay, this is hard, but what can I do? How can I stay connected to my mother despite the lockdown? She focuses on values-driven action.
She doesn't let the feeling dictate her behavior entirely.
Precisely. And this approach is heavily rooted in acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT. One of the core breakthrough ideas from ACT is simple but profound.
Yeah.
You do not have to like a task to do it.
Wow. Say that again.
You do not have to like a task to do it. You can feel bored, anxious, resentful, whatever,
Yeah.
and still choose to take action based on your values. Those feelings don't have to be in control.
Okay, so how does ACT help you cultivate that flexibility?
It involves 6 core mindset shifts. First is acceptance, like we talked about with Rain, willingness to feel difficult things without fighting them.
Right.
Second, cognitive diffusion. This means seeing thoughts as just thoughts, not absolute truths. Like the exercise of waving your hand while saying, I'm not waving my hand, it shows your thoughts aren't always reality. Jenny realizing I'm a victim is just a thought pattern, not her identity.
Getting distance from your thoughts.
Exactly. Third, present moment contact. Using your 5 senses to ground yourself right here, right now, instead of getting lost in past regrets or future worries. Jenny focusing on the sunset, her cat, her physical safety.
Okay.
Fourth, self as context. This is about flexible perspective taking, recognizing you're more than just the rigid stories you tell about yourself, like Jenny challenging the I'm a bad daughter story. Fifth is values clarifying what truly matters to you, like Jenny valuing family connection, maybe using the tombstone exercise to figure that out.
And the last one.
Sixth is committed action. Taking those small, meaningful steps aligned with your values, regardless of how uncomfortable it feels. Like Jenny immediately calling her mother or finishing a boring work report because professionalism is one of her values.
It's about acting on values, not feelings.
That's the core of it.
Okay, so I've got the mindset, the values, the acceptance piece. What about managing those really intense, immediate emotional responses? The book introduces this absolutely fascinating concept, the 90-second rule. What's that about?
Yeah, this one's really practical. It builds on Viktor Frankl's famous idea about the space between stimulus and response. Neuroscientist Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor proposed this 90-second rule based on her work.
Okay.
She suggests that the actual physiological chemical process of an emotional reaction in your body, like the flush of anger, the jolt of fear, lasts less than 90 seconds.
Only 90 seconds, really?
That's the physiological part, the chemical rush. Now, what's really compelling here is any emotional feeling you experience after those initial 90 seconds, that's basically you choosing, usually unconsciously, to re-stimulate that emotional loop with your own thoughts.
So if I'm still fuming 10 minutes after someone cut me off in traffic.
It's because you're mentally replaying it, thinking angry thoughts, judging the other driver, keeping that chemical process going long after the initial trigger has passed. You're choosing to stay in the loop.
Wow, okay, that's huge. So how do we use that 90-second window?
The book gives 4 strategies. First, get to know your red flags. Identify your personal triggers, specific situations, people, times of day, even internal thoughts that reliably kick off those negative emotional responses before the 90 seconds even start.
Like recognizing that reading a difficult textbook makes you feel stupid, which then makes you want to raid the fridge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Knowing that pattern is the first step. Second, identify the emotional reaction physically. Tune in to the distinct bodily signature of your emotions. Where do you feel anger? Maybe a clenched jaw, fatigue might be sore eyes, a heavy feeling. Learn your body's signals.
Got it. Third,
Third, label the emotion accurately. Expand your emotional vocabulary beyond just stressed or lazy. Are you actually overwhelmed? Or maybe resentful or disappointed? Getting specific helps you understand what's really going on, distinguishing excitement from fear, for instance.
more nuance.
Yes. And finally, number 4 is acceptance. Again, allow those feelings, those physical sensations to arise and peak and subside naturally within that 90-second window, without judging them or trying to force them away. Just observe them, knowing they will pass if you don't keep visiting them with thoughts.
Become the observer of the feeling.
Right. And sometimes that acceptance allows you to see, okay, this discomfort isn't just random, it's telling me something important. Like maybe that training course really doesn't align with your values and it's time for a change rather than just pushing through misery.
Okay, so we've got the mindset tools, the emotional regulation tools like the 90-second rule. Now, how do we translate all this into consistent action? How do we actually break free from what the book calls the procrastination doom loop?
Ah, the doom loop.
Yes.
Yes. Professor Joseph Ferrari describes it well. It starts because people delay doing something because they don't feel like it, they're not in the right mood.
And they think their mood will magically improve later.
Exactly. They mistakenly believe they'll feel more motivated later. But of course, putting off the important task usually leads to feelings of guilt or shame or anxiety.
Which makes you feel even less like starting.
Precisely. So you put it off again, feel even more guilt and anxiety.
Yeah.
And round you go, deeper into the doom.
It's a nasty cycle. Are there other psychological factors feeding into it?
Definitely. Neil Fioring talks about perfectionism. If the bar is impossibly high, why even start? Also, fear of success, worrying about the expectations that come with doing well. And sometimes, just frustration and powerlessness, procrastination, can feel like the only way to exert some control when you feel overwhelmed.
And didn't Professor Sarah mention something about how we view our future selves?
Yes, Fuchsia Saroy talks about poor temporal thinking. We tend to see our future self either as a complete stranger, we don't mind burdening, future me can deal with it, or as some kind of superhero who will suddenly have unlimited energy and motivation to tackle the task we're avoiding now.
Guilty as charged on that one.
Yeah.
The tax return example in the book captures all of this, doesn't it?
It really does. You build it up in your head, dread the complexity, feel overwhelmed by the paperwork, maybe worry about making mistakes. Perfectionism. Put it off, thinking future me will handle it, feel guilty, avoid it more, until the deadline forces you into a panicked last-minute scramble, which just reinforces the idea that doing taxes is a terrible ordeal.
Okay, so how do we break this destructive loop? What are the core solutions?
The book offers a few key things. First, counterintuitively perhaps, is practice self-compassion. Step back from the harsh self-criticism. Acknowledge that everyone procrastinates sometimes. Forgive yourself for slipping up. Don't chain yourself to the guilt.
Be kinder to yourself.
Yes. Second, reframe your thoughts. Actively shift your perspective away from the negative feelings and towards your actual goals and values. Remind yourself why this task matters. Reframe failure as learning. See challenges as interesting puzzles to solve, not threats.
Change the narrative.
Exactly. And third, maybe the most crucial, take baby steps. The book really hammers this home. Motivation does not lead to action. Instead, it's the other way around. When you take action, you gradually build up motivation.
So action comes before motivation.
Yes. Don't wait to feel like it. Just start, even ridiculously small. That tiny action is enough to break the inertia. And every time you act, despite not feeling like it, you teach yourself, hey, I can do things regardless of my mood. You build that muscle.
Start small, build momentum.
Got it. So directing our attention seems critical for all this. The book uses some really helpful metaphors here. Tell us about the flashlight of attention.
Yeah, this comes from Amisha Jha's work. She describes our attention having 3 main modes. The flashlight is the orienting system. It's how we selectively place our awareness on one thing, like choosing to focus on your values instead of your anxious feelings.
Okay, like pointing a beam. Exactly. Then there's the caution sign, which is the alerting system. It's broadly scanning for potential threats or important information. Useful for survival, obviously. But if you get stuck in this mode, It leads to constant anxiety and hypervigilance.
And the third one?
The juggler. That's our executive functioning, managing different tasks, prioritizing, staying organized to meet our goals. This is the system that gets really strained when we're overwhelmed. Or, for instance, if someone has ADHD.
So how do we get better at controlling that flashlight, making it stronger?
It's like training a muscle, or maybe training a puppy, as the book suggests. First, you just notice when your flashlight wanders off task. And when it does, you gently, without judgment or self-criticism, just bring it back to where you intended it to be.
The gentle return is key.
Crucial. Every time you bring it back, that's a rep that strengthens your focus muscle. Breath awareness is a fantastic foundational mindfulness practice for this because it trains all three systems. You focus, flashlight, you notice distraction, caution sign, and you redirect, juggler.
And diffusing from distractions.
Right. Learning to see distractions, thoughts, noises, urges as just buses passing by at a bus stop. You notice them, but you don't have to get on every single one. You can let them go past.
Is there a simple exercise for this?
Absolutely. The everyday practice. Sit upright, comfortably alert. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Focus on the physical sensation of your breath, maybe your belly rising and falling. When your mind wanders, and it will, just gently notice where it went and escort your attention back to the breath. Each return is the practice. It proves you can redirect your focus.
And what's really cool is how Hollins then connects this focused attention right down to our brain chemistry using this arrow model of focus. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the arrow model is a great way to visualize the neurochemicals involved. Think of an arrow. The shaft represents epinephrine or adrenaline. It gives you energy and alertness, but not necessarily focus itself.
How do you boost that?
Strategies include caffeine. The book suggests 200-400 milligrams, but advises avoiding it first thing in the morning, maybe wait 90-120 minutes, and avoid it after 4 p.m. Also, creating healthy stress, setting deadlines, challenging yourself, and those short, sharp, cold showers can give you an adrenaline boost.
Okay, so that's the energy shaft. What's the arrowhead?
The arrowhead is acetylcholine. This is the chemical that really sharpens focus, activating neurons for precise concentration on a specific target.
And how do we support that?
Things like visualization exercises, really concentrating on an object, creating a truly distraction-free environment helps your brain lock on. And diet plays a role. Foods rich in choline, like egg yolks, are important because choline is a building block for acetylcholine.
Interesting connection to diet. And the final part of the arrow.
That's the binding, which represents dopamine. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's crucial for sustaining motivation and making effort feel rewarding enough to continue.
So how do we optimize dopamine for focus?
The book emphasizes that it's less about specific hacks and more about overall health. Regular exercise, getting enough protein, reducing saturated fats, looking after your gut health with fiber, ensuring high-quality sleep, getting some sun exposure, and making sure you don't have deficiencies in things like iron or vitamin B6. Basically, when your body is healthy, it knows how to regulate dopamine effectively for motivation.
So what this really drives home is that our physical state is the absolute foundation for our mental performance, for our focus, for everything.
Couldn't agree more. It's all interconnected.
And this holistic view then leads to another really powerful idea the book borrows, this time from the ancient Spartans.
Right. Spartan discipline, improvement by subtraction. This is a fantastic concept. It argues that success and discipline don't just come from adding more good habits or doing more things. Sometimes the most effective strategy is doing less strategically, removing the things that are harmful, unproductive, or simply distracting.
Less is more.
Exactly. Think about top performers in any field. They often achieve excellence by focusing intensely on one core skill or goal, almost to the exclusion of everything else. Their flashlight becomes a laser beam.
Can you illustrate that?
The book contrasts Chris, who tries to juggle too many good things, learning languages, volunteering, side hustles, and ends up feeling drained and getting nowhere fast. Then there's Christina, who becomes almost obsessed with one major career goal.
How does she practice subtraction?
She doesn't just add productive habits, she ruthlessly eliminates things that don't serve that primary goal. That might mean paying for a cleaner to save time, eating simple, repetitive meals to reduce decision fatigue, saying no to social events that aren't truly restorative, setting fierce boundaries around mindless scrolling or email checking. She's consciously removing the option for distraction.
Making the choice irrelevant by removing it.
Precisely. It connects to those historical examples, maybe extreme ones, like Victor Hugo having his clothes hidden so he had to write, or Herman Melville being chained to his desk, or Carl Jung retreating to his electricity-free stone tower. They physically remove distractions to force focus.
So the core message is simplify to succeed.
Absolutely. Keep that arrowhead focused and get rid of everything else.
Yeah.
It's about ruthless prioritization, identifying what's truly essential, and consciously dismissing the rest.
Okay, so we're focusing, we're subtracting the non-essential. How do we make this kind of discipline actually last? It's easy to get fired up reading a book, but making it stick long term is the real challenge. The book talks about working with our bodies here, right?
Yes, this is crucial for sustainability. The book brings up ultradian rhythms. These are the natural cycles our bodies and brains go through all day long, roughly every 90 to 120 minutes. We have periods of peak energy and focus, followed by periods where we naturally dip and need rest and recovery.
So we're not meant to operate at 100% all day.
Definitely not. The key question the book poses is, are you constantly fighting your natural biology, or are you leveraging it? Trying to push through those dips with sheer willpower or caffeine is usually inefficient and leads straight to burnout.
So what's the smarter way?
Schedule your most demanding, focused work, your deep work, during those natural energy peaks. And then, crucially, during the slumps, take real restorative breaks. Don't just switch to checking email. Actually step away, rest your brain, maybe move your body. Our bodies are designed for sprints followed by rest, not a constant marathon. Respecting that rhythm optimizes productivity and prevents burnout.
Okay, working with our rhythms makes sense. But what about those days when, despite everything, you just wake up feeling completely, utterly unmotivated? The book says that's normal, right? And it offers a tool, the pregame routine.
Absolutely normal. It's so important to understand that motivation will fluctuate. Self-discipline doesn't mean the path magically gets easier, as the book says. It doesn't mean you suddenly don't have days where you wake up completely unmotivated. Discipline means you get stronger at navigating those days.
So the pregame routine helps with that, like for athletes.
Exactly like that. A baseball player goes through specific actions, jogging, stretching, throwing, not necessarily because they feel like it, but because those actions reliably pull them into game mode. We can create our own routines to do the same for difficult tasks.
How do we build one?
3 key steps. 1. Make it incredibly easy. The very first step should be so simple and automatic there's basically no way to say no, like putting your gym shoes right by the front door the night before, or getting a glass of water before sitting down to study. The hardest part is starting, so make that start tiny.
Remove the foot chafe.
Yes. 2. Get moving. Literally. Remember, action precedes motivation. You can't just think your way into feeling motivated. Physical movement can shift your mental state, so if you need to write, don't just stare at the blank screen. Maybe physically get out a pen and paper and start brainstorming keywords. Just get your body involved.
Use the body to lead the mind.
Right. And 3, be consistent. Follow the exact same steps in your routine every single time. This builds automaticity, so you don't waste precious willpower just getting started. You save it for the actual task.
That makes a lot of sense. And this discussion of routines and starting small leads right into one of the most well-known, maybe, but powerful strategies.
Do the big thing first. What does Hollins say about eating the frog?
Yes, eat the frog. It's a classic for a reason. The idea is simple. Identify the most challenging, most unpleasant, or maybe most important task you have to do today that's your frog, and do it first thing in the morning.
Get it out of the way. Exactly. Tackle it when your energy and willpower are likely highest. The psychological benefit is huge once you've eaten that frog. Everything else you have to do that day seems easier by comparison. You've already achieved something significant.
So how do you actually eat the frog?
Step 1. Find your frog. List all your tasks, then pinpoint the priority ones, maybe based on deadlines, impact, or simply the task you're most dreading and likely to avoid. Step 2. Eat the biggest frog first. If you have several unpleasant tasks, tackle the one you want to avoid the most. Lean into the discomfort. Step 3. Eat your frogs in the morning, then do everything else. This optimizes your most productive hours and builds momentum and confidence for the rest of the day.
It's a confidence booster, too.
Definitely. The book also touches on the first pancake theory here. Sometimes the frog is just getting started, accepting that your first attempt might be imperfect, like the first pancake you cook, but it gets you going. And it mentions Warren Buffett's two-list strategy list. 25 goals. Circle the top 5, and then actively avoid the other 20 until the top 5 are done. It reinforces that intense focus.
All about prioritization and overcoming that initial hurdle.
And making sure your goals are clear and smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound, so you know what frog you're actually supposed to be eating.
So as if we're eating the frog, being strategic with our rhythms and focus, subtracting the noise, what's the ultimate level of commitment the book pushes us towards? The thing that really ensures lasting change.
This might be the most surprising, maybe even challenging conclusion in the book. It basically argues that ultimately motivation and inspiration, they aren't that important.
Wait, really? Not important.
Not compared to unwavering commitment.
Yeah.
When you are truly committed, you act because you have decided you will act. Full stop, as the book puts it. Motivation is irrelevant. Inspiration is irrelevant. Your mood, the time of day, the weather, other people's actions, all irrelevant. You do it because you committed to doing it.
That sounds stark, but also simple.
It keeps things extremely simple, in a way. This leads to the concept of never zero commitment.
Never zero.
It means setting an absolute rock-bottom minimum version of a habit or task and committing to doing at least that minimum every single day or whatever the frequency is for a specific period without fail. No excuses.
Give me an example.
The book uses writing a novel. Your never zero commitment might be, I will write at least one word every single day.
One word. That sounds ridiculously small.
It is ridiculously small, but that's the point. It's so small, it's almost impossible not to do it, even on your worst day. But it's uncompromising. You wrote your one word. You kept the commitment. You didn't break the chain. You maintain momentum, however small. It builds that steel-like resolve because you prove to yourself day after day that you follow through no matter what. The commitment is timely, tiny, and totally uncompromising.
Wow. Never zero. That's powerful because it bypasses the need for motivation entirely.
It makes discipline a choice, not a feeling.
You know, reflecting on this whole deep dive, one of my biggest personal takeaways is definitely how the book just completely reframes laziness. It stops being this, moral failing I beat myself up about and becomes this complex puzzle of mindsets, habits, and emotions that I can actually understand and, well, resculpt.
Seeing it as signals,
Yeah.
not character flaws.
Exactly. And for me personally, really getting my head around the 90-second rule feels like a potential game changer. That idea that I can choose my response after that initial chemical flush. I'm going to really try and practice noticing that gap, especially with daunting work projects, and consciously choose not to keep feeding those negative loops.
That's a fantastic application. It's amazing how practical and genuinely empowering these insights feel when you break them down, isn't it? For me, I think the key takeaway has to be that never zero commitment concept.
Yeah.
It just crystallizes the whole idea that consistency, even if it's microscopic sometimes, is so much more powerful in the long run than waiting around for bolts of inspiration or perfect motivation. It takes the pressure off having to feel good to do something.
So how will you apply it?
I'm going to apply it to physical well-being. My commitment is to do something active every single day, even if it's just a 10-minute walk on days I really, really don't feel like a full workout. It just reinforces that foundational commitment to taking care of myself, making discipline less of a dramatic internal battle and more of a simple, non-negotiable choice I make.
I love that. So for you listening, what stands out most from this deep dive into how to do things you hate? Maybe it's finally understanding your specific type of laziness, seeing it clearly for the first time. Or perhaps it's the idea of embracing a little more voluntary discomfort to build resilience. Or maybe just letting go of the idea that your future self is some kind of superhero.
Whatever it is,
Whatever it is, remember that core message from the book. There is no greater power than right action in the present moment. So the question becomes, what single action, however small, will you choose to take today, regardless of how you feel, to move even just 1 inch towards what truly matters to you and start building the life you actually want?
a powerful question to end on.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope you continue exploring these powerful ideas and find ways to apply them in your own life.